Hello Reborners, my name is Karen and this is Making Dolls with Karen. If you're looking for an easy first step or even a process that that you want to use to reborn dolls that's not difficult or doesn't require a lot of mixing of colors, it doesn't require a lot of it just eliminates a lot of that stuff that some people do. It's much more straightforward. It's much more simple. That's what I do. Anyway, I'm making a new doll today. I'm starting fresh on a new doll. If you're wanting to watch a full tutorial, Canon will be a full tutorial. He is a Bountiful Baby Kit. His name is, his sculpt name anyway, I don't know if they give them their real names or not, is Canon. He doesn't have an artist because he's a 3D scan of a real baby. And we're going to do every step that the only step that you are not going to see is the sealer. I have already sealed him. I sealed him a long time ago and put him back in his bag so he was ready to just take out and just start painting. And so I did a lot of dolls at one time a while back, and then I ended up going off on other dolls because I wanted to do them more. But I'm to Canon now. I'm trying to finish up all the ones that are pre-sealed. He's got a little sink in his head right here. It won't make any difference. When we stuff him with his polyfill, he will be just right. Okay, but anyway, the first thing I do when I'm ready to paint is I stuff the head. Don't use polyfill because polyfill will swell and then you'll have you'll notice the head's getting kind of rubberier and bigger. It's because the polyfill swells when it heats, and when the vinyl's hot, it also will stretch, and it's just stretching the face more and more and more. I don't stuff the limbs. They don't tend to collapse that much, so it doesn't hurt them. Anyway, I always start with enhancements or undertones or whatever you want to call it. I call them enhancements because they make the baby look not flat. They enhance the look of your baby. If you just paint just layers of paint on your doll, it's going to look like just like this, only solid colored one color. And it's just not going to look good. I've seen lots of them posted online from new artists who didn't know how to do it. Excuse me, I have heartburn really bad. But anyway, we're going to get started on Canon. And the first thing I'm going to do, well, let me just back up and say the first thing you need to do is wash your kit. And most people wash in Dawn dishwasher liquid, which is fine. You just need a mild solution of Dawn dish liquid, and you wash the entire kit because they have dirt on them from the factory where they were molded and stored and all that. Some people cover this rim so that the inside doesn't get wet, which is perfectly fine. They put things like saran wrap or something on it. I try my best not to get them wet. I just hold them upside down like this, and I wash them like this, and then I stick them under the water and rinse them off, and I put them in the dish drainer. And then after that, you dry them. You can dry them or let them dry naturally. It doesn't matter. Then you alcohol them. You take, like I just take I have some right here, I think. Well, I did have, anyway. I know you already know what a wash rag looks like. But I just bought some of these plain white wash rags. And they do turn all kind of yucky, ugly colors because this one's yellowed real bad because of cleaning kits, probably. But I just get it really wet with alcohol, and I just rub the whole kit down with the alcohol. And that takes any leftover residue of soap or whatever off. And it'll flash very quickly, so you can almost immediately begin to put your sealer on. Now, sealer, let's talk about sealer. Sealer is different by different brands. I've used many sealers, and it depends on what you want from your sealer as to which sealer you want to pick. If you want a real smooth finish on your baby, you want to pick a smoother sealer. If you want texture, of course you're going to pick one that has texture. But there are other things to know about these sealers. The ones that are very, very smooth, you usually cannot write on them with a Prisma pencil at all. So if you want to pencil hair or do any part of the doll with pencils, you're going to want to use a little bit rougher sealer. Even the smooth sealer, you can feel it. I can tell right away that this is not blank vinyl when I touch it because it's got sealer on it. But this is a smooth sealer. It's probably the Pratt sealer. This isn't Pratt sealer. It's Pratt Thin and Medium, and I've put red in it, but it came in jars like this. It was after Genesis had quit putting out their paint, and Bountiful Baby, that's where I get it from, wanted to have a paint to offer people. So they made this called Pratt Paints, and they made colors, they made sealers, they made everything. And then it just went away pretty quick when Gemini came out. Anyway, so I liked the Pratt sealer because it was smoother. And at the time, I didn't care about writing on my doll. I did everything with paint, but now I do some stuff with pencils. But anyway, he's sealed with the Pratt because he's smoother. I can tell. That's only two kinds I have are the Gemini and the Pratt. Here's the Pratt right here. You can tell it because it looks very, very white in the jar. It looks like glue or just a thick white liquid. Now the Gemini, on the other hand, tends to have a glassier look to it. It's still white, but it has a sort of glassy look to it. I don't know, you might not can tell on camera. And it dries much crunchier. I call it, it's not really crunchy, but some people compare it to sandpaper. It's not like that either. It's just has a texture. And the texture allows you to write on the doll. I can write on this doll. I just can't write. I couldn't do hair because it would be skippy looking. It would write here and then skip and then it just doesn't do good. But the tiny writing I'm going to do is going to be veins and capillaries, and that you can do on this kind of sealer as well. But if you want to pencil on hair, you're going to need to at least, if you want a smooth feeling on the face, that's fine. But try to at least put some sealer on the parts of the head that you think you're going to draw the hair on. Some rougher sealer, because otherwise you're not going to get good hair. Anyway, the first seal is meant to make the doll more able to take the paint. I always say paint sticks to paint, and sealer is considered, well, they call it a solvent, but it's still a paint. And it's different in that it'll stick to the vinyl without any paint underneath it. And the paint sticks too. You don't have to worry about the paint's not going to stick, but it doesn't have the same richness of color, and it just doesn't. And I've done a tutorial before where I did two dolls side by side. One was sealed and the other was not, so you could see the difference. And the one that was not sealed was a lot duller, and I don't know. It's just after some paint problems that I had in the past, I decided to seal all of my dolls. It's not necessary. You can skip this step, but I highly recommend you do it. Anyway, we're going to get on started, and we're going to put some enhancements on Canon. One of the first things I like to do is put a little bit of blue right here close to the corner of his eyes. And anywhere on a baby where the skin is considered to be a little thinner, that's where blue is applied. You want to have some sponges that you can dab with. I've been dabbing every color in the rainbow with that sponge, so I guess we'll use it. And I've got some brushes up here. And I do this thing what I call dry painting. These brushes were dipped in paint and put up to dry. I have jars over here in the corner where you can't see them. See, this one says blue on it. And I've dipped all the brushes I have in there and just put them in there and let them dry. They're probably not really dry. It takes several days for them to dry. But they are dry enough to use, I think. And dry painting offers you much more control on some of your enhancements. I only use it on enhancements. And it also offers a smoother finish on your doll. We just paint it on, and believe it or not, it's been 2, maybe 3 days since I dipped these brushes. And you should not be able to see the blue. We don't want our blue to be so dark that you can see it on camera. And that's just one of the guidelines to get your blue correct. If you see it on camera, they say it's too dark. Now, if you can only barely see it on camera, it's probably okay. And if you like it dark, it's okay anyway. This one has not got much blue in it. Let me get the other one. I tend to use them and not redip them. I meant to redip these. I probably didn't do it. That's why it's so light. When it's really light like that, you just have to keep on and keep on dabbing until you get enough color. He's not going to have blue by his eyes if I don't get some, somehow get some on there. Just going to use this fat brush. I don't like doing it, but see, the bigger the brush, the more paint it's going to hold, of course, and the better you're going to be able to get some paint on there, but you have a lot less control. We always dab our paint. It's too bold and there'll be little lines where it starts and stops where you don't want to see those. And a kabuki helps to spread it and soften it a little bit too. You can't see that in the corner of his eyes, I'm sure. You're not supposed to be able to. It's very, very subtle. Undertones are supposed to be kind of subtle because they're undertones. You're supposed to see them through the paint, but you're not supposed to see them boldly. Okay, now the forehead, that's another place where we put the blue. I do anyway. I just stripe it across like this. And it sort of looks like this when I put it on. I know you can see that. But then I'm going to dab it. And then I'm going to kabuki it. These kabuki brushes are not good for some of the things you see people doing online with them. They're only good for spreading paint that I only use them when I'm dry brushing, dry painting. And now you can't even see it at all probably, which is the way we want it. I can see it, and when the doll is finished, the person who buys it, they'll be able to see it. But as far as it looking super bold and there's a lot of blue on his forehead, it's not going to be like that. Y'all excuse me just 1 minute. I have to grab a bottle of water. My mouth is like sandpaper. I'm sorry for that. My medicines, I have some medicines that dry your mouth out so bad. And one of them is really bad. Okay, the paint that I'm using, I might not have said it, is Gemini. It comes from Bountiful Baby. If you write all this stuff down, you'll know where to get all your stuff. I don't get everything from Bountiful Baby because their prices are too high. Oh man, that's wet my whistle a little bit. Okay, now that's all the blue I put on his face. I like to finish the face before I move to the arms and legs because I'll tend to skip a step if I just do all the blue and then move to something else. Another color I put on the face is yellow. Yellow is meant to make areas of their face look a little bit fatter. You know, babies have little fat areas. And it's very cute on the face. And I've decided I don't like primary yellow. So I bought this color. It is called Raw Sienna. And it's a beautiful, beautiful color. It's a brownish sort of yellow. And you'd think, no way, no way. I'm not putting that on my baby. I thought it too when I first mixed it up. But I said, you know what? I bought it. I'm going to give it a try. I got paint all over my fingers. So I just use this plain little brush here that I have brushes of every color that I just use exclusively for that color, and I don't wash my brushes. That's something I learned from an artist that I was watching their video. First time I ever heard anybody say I don't wash my brushes. But anyway, you have to be careful not to get the yellow on the blue. It will neutralize it completely almost. We put it right here on his face, coming down from his nose here and coming down from his nose here, and just right across the middle part of his nose, being careful not to get it up here where the blue is. This one you can't do dry brush, it just won't work, it's too light. I just do it wet. And you can put as much on his cheeks as you want to, as far out as you want to. It's a preference. I know you can see that it's wet. You may not can see the color. And then if they have a very fat chin or something, you can do the chin too. But I'm sparing with my yellow because yellow can make your baby look different in a way that you don't like. But if it's properly applied, it's very beautiful actually. And it plays through all the way to the end, so you'll be able to see it. I mean, colors will be on top of it, but you can tell that area is a different color. And you can't tell it now because it's too light. A lot of the enhancements I'm doing, you won't even be able to see how they look, but you see how I applied them. Now he's got a little bit of a frown on his face. He's got a deep eye socket, and he has this little part right here above where I put the blue. This part going across right here, it sinks in a little, and a little bit up here. On these little sinking in areas, we put purple. And the reason for that is purple is darkening and shadowy looking. And it's not purple, it's just, it looks like it is. But when you put it on, it's very, well, I'm not even going to use the jar of paint. I don't even know why I got it out. I only use most of those jars for dipping my brushes. I'm just going to use a dry brush. Put the purple right up here on this little, it's a little above his eyelids is where it is. I'm going to show you. You should be able to see it a little bit because it's so wet and dark. But we're going to dab it a whole lot. We don't want it to look actually purple. And when we get finished dabbing it, it's going to look more like a shadow, if you can tell any difference at all. And now I'm going to do it above his, up here above his brow ridge a little bit, because that also is a little bit almost like a frown. If you have a baby with a frown, you're going to be putting purple on their face. Purple's a great color if you're going to follow it with red, or if you're going to follow it with blue. Purple can make the area look a lot darker and shadowier if you want dark and shadowy. And one of the places we need to remember to always paint is inside the nose. I do not recommend drilling out the nose. You've seen a lot of people do it if you've watched a lot of videos. But it opens up a hole in the head. The doll, once it's put together, it's kind of a sealed system. The only part that's open is the body. But if you put a hole in the nose, you're opening up another opening that goes inside the doll, and that's not a good idea because moisture and stuff can get in there and cause the polyfill and stuff to start to mold. And so I just shadow the nose, but I'm going to use a skinnier brush to do it so I can get right into the nostrils of his nose. I'm just going to stick the paintbrush right into his nostrils and just sort of swirl it around like this. I'm going to try to get all the sides painted, but none on the outside. We don't want it on the outside of the doll because they don't need shadows on the outside of their nose, just on the inside. Now, I have a thing called a heat gun, and I'm going to hit that with the heat gun real quick. It's a very cheap little device that you can get. I got mine on eBay from another artist's recommendation, and it's been fabulous. I'm just going to blow it up his nose for a second or two to try to completely dry that paint, even though it's considered dry paint because I didn't stick it in the wet jar, and it's been sitting there and drying for 2 or 3 days, so it's not completely dry. So once it's dry, I can put another color on top. not trying to cure the paint. We still have to bake it. We're just trying to dry it enough to put another color on top. I went ahead and hit his forehead and everything. He's a little bit hot right now. You have to be careful. It gets very hot, that you don't get too close to your doll and that you move it around. You don't want it to get too hot. We only want the paint to dry. That's all we want to do. Okay, the next color we're going to use is going to be red. We use a lot of red. That is why I have a lot of brushes. And they were dipped. I like to put red on certain little areas of the head that I think need some red. One of them is the tip of his nose. Yeah, we don't want Rudolph, but we're going to put a little on there. Now, I want you to know that this red is this color right here. It's very dark, almost a wine color, but it's not going to look like that on the doll. This is a color that I mixed up that's supposed to be comparable to that color, but it's another brand of paint. See how pink it is? Pink doesn't belong on your doll. Nowhere. Don't put any pink on your doll. The red's going to be fine, and you're going to think it's pinkish, but if you put pink on there, it's a whole different story. It's a different color, and you won't like it. This red is still very wet. I'm putting some inside of his nose as well. Now that we're painting the nose, we want to make sure we get this bottom part down here too, because we don't want to leave it looking like, well, somebody, you know, doesn't know how to paint their doll, you know. No. Now, after we get it all painted the way we want it, it's way too dark. So we're going to dab it until it's very light. And if you need to clean up a little bit, get you some of these pointy swabs. You can get them at Walmart, much cheaper than you can get them from Bountiful Baby. And just clean up what got on his face. Rubbing paint that hasn't been cured will take it off most of the time. If not, it'll minimize it to a point where you won't see it hardly. Okay, I'm going to also paint his lips. This is his first painting on his lips. And what we're trying to do here is stay inside the lip line. There's a defined line on his lips that you can actually see, and we're going to stay within it. We are not going to be painting any part that's not his lips. I know almost everybody has seen the little old ladies who paint past their lip lines when they put on their lipstick, and it looks so funny and weird. Well, we don't want Canon to look funny and weird. We want to make the prettiest baby we can make. And so we're taking our time to stay inside that lip line and to get it colored, the entire lip area colored. You don't want to miss even a sliver, because if you do, you'll never catch it up. Never. It will look funny the whole rest of the time you're painting. Once again, if you go out of the lip line, just take your swab and rub it. And be careful, because you'll rub it off the lips too, and you'll have to go back and put some more on there. His lips. We're not trying for the finished touch on his lips. This is just the beginning. Some colors we build, some colors we put on one time. Now, because the eye area ends up being one of the most missed areas, we're just going to put a little red on his eyes. It's better than him not having any color at all on his eyes. I'm not fond of that eyelid purple. I use it for shadows, and that's it. I don't put it on their eyes because it looks a little bit fake. Babies aren't supposed to be purple. And on the eyes, it doesn't look shadowy. It actually looks like eyeshadow. Okay, there. His eyes are kind of pinky. See, it does look pink, but we're using red. If you use the pink, it would be baby pink or something, and you don't want that on your doll. Now, we're going to also color a little bit on his ears. Don't worry, we're not making a clown. Some people go, oh, I think she's making a clown. And it's not a clown. That one's out of paint. Let me get another one. I've started a second jar of red ones because when these run out, and you have to dip them after you're finished painting for the day, and then tomorrow they're too wet. So I started another jar that while these are drying out, I can use the other jar of paint. It's right here. It doesn't have as many brushes in it, but it's something to use while I'm waiting for these to get dry. I have a kabuki for each color, and I have paintbrushes for each color. Never wash your brushes, and here's the reason why. Unless you don't have enough to do this. And I'm going to tell you where you can get brushes just like the ones I'm using just in a minute. And I'll put it down in the description as well. Washing your brushes just helps them wear out quicker. Oh yeah, this is heat set paint. If you're wanting to do air dry, you probably won't get much. You can get some tips from. I have some air dry followers, and they say they get some tips from me that they can still use on air dry, but I don't know how good they are. I don't know how they use it because you can't do some of the things I'm doing with air dry. I personally like heat set the best because it is very much more depth and color. It looks more real to me. A lot of people say, oh, my dolls look really real, and I use, but I don't think. I tried 2 or 3 different air dries, and the color doesn't hold either. Over time, the red fades away, and your doll looks kind of green because the blues and the yellows stay behind. And so you have a green looking baby. These small brushes that I'm using, it has so few little bristles in it that it can't really hold a lot of paint. But you get more control, like behind the ears and stuff. We want to do behind the ears, but we do not want to do the head. We don't want to get it on the head, so you need a brush that can reach in that little space. That's why I have a lot of tiny brushes in here, because I put red in spaces where I just want a tiny bit, and I don't want to use a big fat brush for it because you don't get the same control. Now, you could certainly paint the ears. There's nothing wrong with painting the ears with a brush that size, but it's going to be a lot harder. I used to do it all the time because I used to only buy these. You can buy them from, I think it was Office Supply. And I don't remember the price of them, but I bought about 15 of them. And that's all I use. That's the only size I use. And then I decided, well, actually what I did was go through some of my stuff I had a long time, and I found a package of, oops, got something on your head. I found a package of paintbrushes that I had bought a long time ago when Walmart carried these brushes. Walmart does not carry these brushes anymore. These are the Royal and Langnickel Crafter's Choice 15-piece set, and they are synthetic camel hair. Gold-colored handles, dark-colored bristles. I ordered some other Royal and Langnickel brushes, and they were white bristles, and they fell out. They were horrible. I just thought, okay, Royal and Langnickel has good brushes. I'm just going to order some. Well, not all their brushes are good. Okay, now that his ears are colored, his nose, his mouth, and his eyes, we're going to blush him. Just like you would if you was putting blush on your face. He needs rosy cheeks too. So we're just going to dab it on like this. And it looks very harsh and ugly, but we're going to fix it up. We're going to dab it a little bit with this, and then we're going to kabuki the crap out of it until we have it spread and the color that we want. Everything gets lighter when you bake. That doesn't mean make it super dark. I'm just meaning it won't be as dark as you're seeing after it's baked. Now I'm going to put a little bit on this side. I always put it around the cheek. Just dab it around, and then I come up a little on the side. It just looks a little more natural that way. Then we dab that one, and we're going to kabuki that. He's a very cute little sculpt. He's, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could be mistaken, Emmy and Joseph and Darren and Jenny and Canon are all brothers and sisters, I believe. Now you can put some on the chin too, but we're getting close to having the whole face red. I don't put it on the chin, but I do put just a little up on the forehead. This is what I call my little signature mark. I've put it on every baby I've ever made. I just give them a little dab of it up on their forehead like that. And we're going to kabuki that as well. We don't want it super dark. It's uneven. I don't put it all over the forehead. I just put it in little spots. Now, before I go to the next step, I'm just going to hit him with a glue gun. I can't stop calling this thing a glue gun. The heat gun a little bit to dry all that. You can tell they're getting dry because they're getting lighter colored. We don't necessarily have to get them completely dry, and his face is a little hot, but before we start doing other things to him, we don't want to be smearing or scratching off any of that paint that we just put on him. And so we're going to now do his veins. I use a pencil. It's called Aquamarine. I tried turquoise, which was the color I really wanted, but it was way too dark. I had to get rid of that pencil. It was tripping me up sometimes. I also do capillaries, and I have two pencils. This Crimson Lake is a beautiful, beautiful color for capillaries. I also have a Tuscan Red, which I don't really use. One of my subscribers on my channel recommended these two colors for capillaries, and I had not been doing capillaries. I recently got a doll, a very sought-after doll, a doll that I love, at a very, very rock-bottom basement price of $40. And he was amazingly painted, but he was dirty and messed up looking. I didn't even know if he would be salvageable. And I was pretty sure it was heat set because I could tell by the way it looked. So I just got out some alcohol and just cleaned him up real good, and he came out super good. I took him off his body. I put one coat of paint on him. He already had capillaries, and he already had veins, and he looked fantastic. That's what made me want to start doing capillaries. I've never really done capillaries, but I have done veining. It's very easy. You don't need to be scared of veining. It can be scary at times if you don't. It's very controllable with a pencil. Let's put it that way. And the way it's controlled is how sharp is your pencil, for one thing. If you want super thin veins, you're going to need a very sharp pencil. You see, I sharpened my red pencil to a very, very sharp point because capillaries are super skinny and super small. But veins is a different story. I have a kind of rounded tip on my pencil, and I want them kind of medium. I don't want them real fat. You can actually make fat ones by pressing down real hard, and make them darker by pressing down real hard. The darkness and the fatness of the veins is going to be controlled by you. How hard are you going to press down with your pencil? That's how you're going to know. I do a very light touch. I barely let the pencil touch the doll because I want light veins, especially on the face. I put one coming down and I start way up here. Even though hair is going to be here, I'm going to root this doll. You won't see this part, but it helps me get the crookedness of the vein right before I start getting down to the face. Your vein needs to be wavy, a wavy line, curly, twisty line, not a straight line. Don't make a straight line. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start right up here on the scalp, and we're just going to start making a real swirly. It's like you're making S's over and over again. If you don't think it's dark enough, you can go over it again. But believe me, it's going to be dark enough. You do not want something super dark on your baby's face. I don't know if you can see any of that. I'm going to hold him real close. I just don't want it to show a lot. I'm going to rub it a little bit. You do want it to show. You want to be able to see that there's a vein. Now I'm going to put one over here by the temple as well. It's super light because that's how I like them. They still show at the end, believe me. Pencil plays through real good. He's kind of got the wrong kind of sealer to be able to really write on him. You can you can actually scrawl some veins on him though. He's not that bad. Now for the capillaries. You can put a capillary literally anywhere. There's no need if you're going to put hair on your doll to put any up here. There's no need. And why would they have capillaries on the back of their head? They just don't. Most capillaries are on their face. If they're a sleeping doll, they might have one on their eye. You just make a tiny little, you can put as many branches. Now these are super curly. Super, super curly looking. Look at this eye right here and see if you can see it. My friend tells me if she enlarges the picture, she can see it. You don't have to put them on the eyelids. You don't have to put them anywhere, but these are super curly. You just keep curling it and curling it and curling it. And if you think they're too dark, don't use that sponge. It's been in the sealer. Rub them. You need to sort of rub them anyway. The red really stays a lot better than the blue does. You can rub it pretty hard, and you want to keep it super light because you're probably not going to be able to lighten it up anymore by rubbing it because it stays super good. Okay, we're going to put a few on his cheeks because up here on his temple first. Let's do his temple. They have little capillaries on their temples as well. You can make them as elaborate as you want, as many branches as you want, no branches at all, super curly, super big, super little, any way you want to. It's your art. And the only thing I would say would be wrong about capillaries is if they're real fat and real dark. Otherwise, you're just making squiggly lines on your baby. And they do show at the end. You might go, that is too light. It's not going to ever show, but it will. Some people even put them on the ears. I don't put them on the ears. I just think that's a little much. Any old way you want to do them. Any way. That one should be dark enough you can see it for real. I'm going to rub it right away. Pencil is semi-permanent after about 24 hours. I'm not going to say it's permanent because I'll put a few on his forehead too. Because you can actually take, if it's not been baked, you can actually take something like paint thinner or alcohol probably and get it off. But beware, you might take some paint off your doll too. But that's all I'm going to do. I don't want to over capillary him and make him look like he's bursting open or something. But that's pretty much the face. The only other thing that I haven't done, and I don't usually put creases on the face because it's just messy looking. And so we're going to move on to the hands and feet now. And we're going to start with the feet. On the feet, you can see there are lots of wrinkles on his feet. He's one of the lesser wrinkle dolls, believe it or not. Bountiful Baby is notorious for wrinkly dolls. This can be a good thing. I'm going to pull this limb from over here. This one is super wrinkly too. Look at all those wrinkles. This one, it represents a preemie baby though, and they are quite wrinkled. But that's a little piece of fuzz where she stuck to the oven liner when she was baking. I have to scratch it off with a toothpick or something. Anyway, this one has less wrinkles. Now, if you were going to crease this doll, you would not want to crease every one of those creases. Believe me, it would start to look very dirty, like the baby's been crawling in the mud or something. I don't know where all these little black specks come from, but everywhere I've ever lived and was making dolls, little black specks are coming. It must be something to do with the paint or something that's on your table or something. It gets on your doll. But mostly you're going to crease the bigger creases and the cuter creases. The ones that, see, like this one would make his little knee look enhanced. So you might want to do it. But we're not doing that first. We're going to do the blue that goes on the bottom of the feet. Anywhere on the baby where you think the skin is thinner. And right here in the arch of their foot, babies don't really have an arch. Their foot is just very flat and fat. But they made arches on these babies. So we're going to put some right in his little arch. It's going to be blue. And it's going to basically look like that before I dab it. I'm going to dab it a good bit here. We don't want it that dark. You can barely see it now. And I'm going to do the other foot the same way. Right in the little arch part. Having trouble getting it on this doll. On this foot, I mean. And if you think it's not dark enough, like it dries too light, you can always just reapply it. Anytime. Okay, so now I'm trying to push up my glasses and I don't even have them on. The next thing is we're going to take a brush and we're going to, a red brush, the blush, and we're going to paint the rest of his foot pinkish color. Don't forget to get the toes, the entire bottom of the toes. We want every bit of the bottom of his foot to be pinky colored. Now, if you decide you're going to do the top of the toes too, then you're going to have to start getting the sides and everything. And while you're doing this, you want to make sure it's getting down in these crevices, because this is very clean paint and it's not going to stain the crevices to where they look like dirty feet. This drier paint is very, very clean. I can already tell that compared to this red, his blue doesn't even show. I'm going to dab this red. And it does tone it down a lot when you dab it, see? But I'm not satisfied with the blue, so I'm going to get my blue one back out. And I'm going to put a little more blue there. And then I'm going to dab it a little bit more. That's better. So I'm going to start this one with a little more dabbing on the blue. It's supposed to make the bottom of the foot look really, really natural. Not sure if it does. Some of these things I've seen artists do to babies, the dolls, to try to make them look like babies. I thought, well, that's ridiculous. Babies don't have that. And then my son and daughter-in-law adopted a little newborn baby. I took a lot of time staring at that baby to see what did she have and what did she not have. And one thing I noticed about her is the modeling. She had very little modeling and only sometimes. And I think modeling is super messy. I'm going to tell you how to do it, but I'm not going to do it. Oh, I guess I could put one coat of model. I don't model the face because it's just funny. It looks like ringworm to me. And now if you want to color the tops of the toes, I sometimes do that too. Uh, because well, it just makes them cute. And you don't have to color the entire toe. There I go, pushing my glasses up again. Um, you can use a smaller brush, and some artists do this now. They just put in select areas of the toe, they'll put some pink, like one stripe toward the bottom and one stripe toward the top, and it looks a little bit more natural to me. And I do that sometimes. But now when you start painting the toes, don't forget to do the sides. Do the same thing to the sides that you're doing to the front. You don't necessarily have to color. If you're only putting two little stripes on the toe, you don't have to color the entire side of the toe. But you do have to put the two little stripes on the side of the toe, or else it just looks weird. And it looks kind of like that. You can see it better on the fingers, really. But then when you color the toe with the layers of paint you're going to put on, it looks cute. Now we'll do this one. It's basically where the nails are. You put a little stripe there, except it goes out of the nail bed. It goes all over the toe. There's no more in that one. See how quick I run out of brushes? You get this different looking feeling about the toes. But the nails get a little hit too when you do this. So that helps in painting the nails. Helps you not have to put so many layers on. Sometimes you can't get it all right in one layer, and so you have to. But that one shows a little better. The paint was a little darker on that one. I might touch this one up a little. It seems a little too light next to that one. Yeah, that's better. Kind of like that. And then the same thing, pretty much, you do on the hands. You just color the fingers the same way. They have more segments to the fingers, though. So instead of, basically what you're doing is, I don't know if you can see these creases where the knuckles are. You're going in between the knuckles. We're not coloring the knuckles. We're coloring the finger between the knuckles. And it's a little bit hard when you don't have much paint in your brush. So it ends up being 3 stripes on the fingers because they're a little bit bigger or have more bends in them or something. They're longer than a toe, let's put it that way. And well, I'm gonna have to start using fat brushes here in a minute. These little brushes have like one swipe to them, literally. And we have to be careful about these hidden fingers. Believe it or not, people look. They look for that on their dolls. Oh, she didn't color that part that's underneath. The underneath of their fingers, you do the same thing you do on the front. You miss the little creases. You just do the red in little sections between the creases. It's weird, but that's how you do it. It sort of looks like that on the front. You can't really see the back because her hand is closed too much. And then there's little areas on the hand itself that you want to paint. It's sort of just like it's a puzzle piece. You just paint the little puzzle pieces and don't get the lines in between. Kind of like that. I don't know if you can see it. And then on the back of the hand, I just swirl a little around on there. Just make it a little pinker, that's all. Doesn't even have to be even or nothing. And then we just dab everything slightly. And that's pretty much it on the hand. And then this other hand's a little more open, so you'll be able to see it a little better. Just a little better, though, because it's not that much open. I used to put blue on the hands, too, but I just don't anymore. It just doesn't look good to me. I'm drastically running out of red paint. I'm going to have to start using a fat brush here in a minute. Try to get these more delicate areas first. It doesn't have to be super dark. It just needs to be a little different color from the colors we're going to put on later, so that you can tell that it's slightly different. And don't forget to get the sides of the fingers and the tips. You don't want white tips on your baby's fingers. That looks really good. It's just not dark enough to me. Might have to hit it again with another brush. That one's out. What else have we got here? Well, we're going to a fat brush. This one's going to have a lot. See, that one has a lot of color in it because it's a big old fat brush. I have to do a lot of dabbing with this one. A lot of dabbing. Because we don't want to get it too dark. Okay, we still have the front of the fingers. Oh, lovely. As we brush, it gets lighter and lighter on the brush too, so it's a little less assuming. When I have to do it with these big fat brushes, I just do it like that, because there's just no way you're going to get in between every one of them little things with a big fat brush. And this paint wants to rub off when you're dabbing it. Oh, that doesn't look the same. Maybe I just need to not dab it so much. Put a little on the back of her hand. Put a little more on the palms of her hands because you can't see it really. That's funny how sometimes it's really, really dark and other times it's really, really light. Now that's got her hands. The only other thing that I want to do before I put her in the oven is paint her fingernails and toenails. Because the earlier you start doing that, the more chances you get to get it right. We don't want to have a bunch of bakes that are only for fingernails. So it's best to try to get those fingernails started early and get them right from the beginning. Okay, I use this tiny, tiny brush. I got these two brushes when I was doing Ultimate Fusion Air Dry. It came in the starter kit. They're highly expensive if you just buy them individually like this. But they were in my starter kit, so I didn't, pay extra for them. But anyway, I abandoned air dry, but I kept the brushes. They're great. What we're looking for here is just to cover the nails. We're not looking to be 100% totally, this is what the nail's going to look like. Getting a layer on there is very helpful for later when you want to get a layer on there. Because remember what I said, paint sticks to paint. And if you just get some on there, I mean, you want it to show. I mean, it's not, don't make it so thin that you can't see it. Looks kind of like that. I'm using Genesis Lip Nail Blush red color. I had it some, and I had this thinning medium, and I just opened the jar of thinning medium, and I just put the paint in there and mixed it up. And it's been lasting forever and ever and ever. And I'd have a lot more if I hadn't been taking it out to make other things. Taking some out. Like I took some out the other day to make a baby scratch on another doll, because it's already a dark color of thicker paint. This is a little thicker than if you put it in a jar and put the, you know, paint thinner into it. Oh my goodness. That is way too dark. If you just can't get the nail right, just take a swab and roll it across the nail and take all the stuff off and start again. It's the easiest way than trying to fix it. But you know me, I have to fix it. Okay, that one's done. Now this one. And then after this, she's going to get a bake. This should complete, unless I've forgotten something, this will complete her enhancements. Oh, the creases. Oh, I'm not sure I want to do creases. Creases can be your friend, or they can be your enemy, depending on how well you do them. And I've been doing a crappy job on the last few dolls because I don't have the right color that I need. I need a different color that I don't have. I'm not happy with any of the colors I have, so I'm not going to be creasing this doll. I might crease one or two creases that are just very obvious that they need creasing, but I like to crease the whole hand. I like to crease the deep creases, like the ones in the elbow and the knees and stuff, and it's just very hard to do all that. After I get all the enhancements absolutely the way I want them, I do a second seal on my doll, because they tend to go away when you put layers on top of them. And you're going, I had that perfect, and now look, it's gone. And you spend all this time getting these enhancements just right, and then they go away because the paint either washed them off or covered them up or diminished them to the point where they don't even look like they did before, or something like that. And we want to keep them, especially if we worked hard to get them right. So I just pounce on another layer of sealer and give her a double bake. Okay, I just have to clean up that one nail that's coming off the nail bed. You don't want to get outside the nail bed, it looks retarded. Looks like you can't paint straight. And I can't paint straight. I'll admit it, I can't paint straight because I have shaky hands. Okay, now the only thing that's left is creasing. Now creasing, you have to decide what color you want your creases to be. Some people do purple, some people do red, some people do a brownish color. It's just a preference, really. I personally like this one color. This is the one I've been using. It's called Henna. Yes, I do my creases also with a pencil. Now, if you want to get deep into the crease and stay in the crease, you're going to need a sharp point on your pencil. I've found that if you get one of these pencil sharpeners, they cost 67 cents, I think, at Walmart. I mean, they might be $1.12 by now, but I've had this one a while. It has two holes in it, one for small pencils, one for big pencils. If you put your pencil in the one for the big pencils, it doesn't sharpen away all your pencil. It just gives you a sharp point. And it's very sharp. You want a very sharp point because you want to make creases that fit down into the creases. The fatness of the pencil will make the creases come out of the crease area. I like to crease all these little things on the finger. And he's going to be hard to crease because he's got the wrong, yeah, he's not going to crease, I don't think. He has got the wrong sealer on. I might seal him with the other. Yeah, you can't crease him. It won't write good enough on him to crease him. The creases are going to look really stupid. So I'm going to try to seal him first, and then when we come back from his bake and his seal, then I'll crease him, I guess. I don't know. But then he won't have any sealer on top of his creases. I don't know. Maybe I'll try a little harder. Making dolls is just a bunch of decisions you have to make. And you're going, I just don't know which one to make. You just have to pick one and go with it. I'm not making very many lines on him because he is too smooth. The difference in the way you can crease a doll that has been creased with a rougher sealer is, I mean, he'd have lots of creases already on him. I wouldn't be going over the same line 3 or 4 times just to get any old mark on him. He's not getting much creasing, let's put it that way. I think it's a futile effort, I really do. I think I'm just not going to do it. But I like to crease the open hands, especially because you crease all these little lines, and it just looks so cute. And but he's not going to crease. So what we're going to do next is get him in for a bake, and then when he comes out, I'm just going to seal him off camera because there's just nothing to know about sealer. You just take your sealer, and once it's mixed up. I can tell you how to mix it, though. We're over an hour on this video already. You just get your jar. I use these jars because they seal. I don't throw my paints away. You'll see a lot of artists using those little paint palettes with the little wells in it, and they mix their colors up in there, and then they throw them out at the end. I can't do that. I get my color right. I want to use it on all my dolls. And the same thing with the sealer. I take some jars of sealer. This isn't sealer. This is thick medium. But anyway, I'm using it as an example. And I pour 2 or 3 jars. Or I've been getting my sealer now in these big jars like this thinning medium's in. A big, big jar. Anyway, here it is right here. You can pour half of it or however much you want to into this jar here. And you're going, why don't you just use it out of that jar? Well, I mix stuff in it. And the jar is too full when you first get it. And then I mix some thinning medium in it. Because thinning medium is a solvent as well. Some people actually seal their dolls with thinning medium. And I did a video on that too. Thinning medium versus sealer. Also not as good as sealer. But I do cut it a little bit with some thinning medium. And then I also cut it with paint thinner. Not a lot. Just enough to make it thinner so that it's not so goopy. It is super goopy if you use it straight from the jar. Super goopy. Anyway, I just take a stick, stir it up real good, get some out, put it on here, and start pouncing it all over the doll. It's simple. It's a step that takes a lot of time, and it's going to make the video super extra long. And then you have to bake them 2 times. One time, like if you're laying them in your oven this way, and then you turn them over, you let them completely cool, and then you bake them again on the other side. And then if they still feel gooey at all, you're going to turn them back over and do a 3rd bake, because you don't want gooey dolls. And remember, if you want a texture on your doll, you're going to have to use something similar to Gemini sealer. I don't know any sealers currently on the market that are really, really smooth. I'm sure there are some, I just don't know what they are. But they are sealers I've never used, for sure. Because I've used Beatrice Clementi, it is extra crunchy. I mean, it starts setting up while you're putting it on the doll. And the doll is just, I don't know what to compare it to. but it's very crunchy, and I don't like it for that reason. But the Gemini is fully, oh, I don't know how to word it. You're able to control the amount of crunchiness by how you cut it. I forgot to put some veins on the arms and legs, so I'm going to just put a very superficial one up here on this arm so that whoever gets this doll can have, and even the veins aren't going on good. It's just not working. This sealer, whatever it is that's on this doll, I think it's Pratt. It's just goo. It's not gooey. It's rubbery kind of feeling. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, his second seal is going to be with Gemini. I'm going to put Gemini on him. This one here, because it's a better sealer. But anyway, let's end the video because I'm just talking out of my head, and I would like everybody to remember to like, subscribe, and share. And happy reborning.